Hey everybody, welcome back to the Ballrooms and Bachelors Podcast where we talk about dance, life, and all things Bachelor. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Camille.
So we got quite a bit to talk about on today's episode. So like we talked about last week, this past weekend we had our mini match event for our studio, which was super fun. And we're going to talk about us spectating on one of the days when we saw all of our friends compete, which was really fun. And then I had a really fun experience, like we had said, where I did my hip hop showcase last Saturday, which was amazing. And we'll talk about kind of just all that went into that day because obviously there was a lot. It was a very busy day, but super, super fun. And then kind of I guess maybe a few more dance updates, and then really get into the Bachelor in Paradise episode six. Is episode six?
I
I
think
think
so.
it's
I
episode
think so.
six. Yeah, just like we talked about, like they're all kind of blending together, especially
Yeah.
since there have been a few two episode weeks, so like they've kind of blended together.
Yeah.
But yes, we'll get into episode six of Bachelor in Paradise as well.
Mhm.
So I guess I will get us started, and like we had talked about last week, we had a few of our friends competing in the smooth category for mini match, which was super fun, and they all did amazing. If you guys are watching this, you guys were so great, so good job. Yes, and it was a lot of fun, and it was cool because all like a few of our friends, or like all of them, they have different like I guess varying levels of smooth
Hmm.
experience.
Hmm.
So like some of them were newer, some of them have been doing smooth for a while, and I just thought it was so cool to see kind of how people did it. And I knew they were all going to do great, but
Yeah.
it was just really cool to just see everybody in their different experiences. I just thought
Hmm.
that was really
Hmm.
fun. I don't know what you kind of your takes on it were, but
Yeah, I think it's also just like I haven't attended a mini match in a while. Like the
yeah.
last one I had done for myself was in
Hmm.
like November of 2023. So it was just great to see like it was Friday. I was able to take a day off from work.
Hmm.
Fortunately, like you were able to come watch, a few of our
Yeah.
other friends were able to come watch because like summer schedule, they were able to be out of work on Friday.
Yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
nice like we had
A
they had
whole
a
group.
good
Yeah.
group to spectate and like
Yeah.
I always feel bad because sometimes people are competing, and because I coach the figure skating
Hmm.
team, it's like it's always hard for me sometimes to get time to go and watch and spectate
Right,
everyone.
right, right.
So
Yeah.
everything kind of like lined up for Friday, and we had a big crowd.
So that was always fun. Oh,
Yeah,
that's definitely fun. Yeah.
I was running around filming everyone, so I was trying to do my best with all that.
Yes, yes.
I was picking up they had like the palm trees there, and I was picking up the palm trees because they kept falling on the side. But no, it was fun. And then
Yeah.
like we went out for hot pot afterwards, which was the first time I've ever
You,
experienced
you,
that.
you, it was like a whole like kind of like census thing for you. Like, what is happening? It was
I
really
was
fun.
very overstimulated.
Overstimulated,
It
yes.
was an all-you-can-eat hot pot. So I'll be going back for hot pot again.
Yes, it
But
was very
maybe
good.
it was very good, but I was like maybe not at an all-you-can-eat plate. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
It was great.
Yes, it's just like
We had
we
fun.
had fun.
I almost
Yes.
burned something once.
You know what? I would call that a win if it was just once. It's just like
And then yeah, so Friday was good. And then
yes.
unfortunately I couldn't make it to watch you on Saturday, but
Yes.
I did watch Matthew's showcase after, which is
Hmm.
awesome, but you go explain your
Okay.
day on Saturday.
It's no worries that you couldn't make it just because it was the Friday competition was in
Hmm.
like the other New Jersey studio, so it's much
Yeah.
easier for people to get to. And then Saturday and Sunday we're in the Soho studio in New York City, so obviously I would expect that it would be really hard for people to obviously go into the city because I know even just competing it's hard. So definitely the commute is much harder.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was a full day, as you can imagine. I think that's kind of typical for most competition days. As if you do ballroom dancing or just dance competitions in general, you would probably know that it's an all-day thing. So I commuted into the city, and that took a few hours, and then. It was really cool because this was what I was kind of strategically trying to plan to do was it was the day of rhythm and Latin, and one of our friends who also did smooth on Friday was also doing rhythm on Saturday. And so I wanted to make sure that I went to go spectate and watch her for a bit. And then they also had Latin afterwards, which is, as I've explained on the podcast before, is like the main style I compete in. So I always love spectating it just to
Yeah.
get inspiration and kind of just see other people dancing it. So I got to see the pretty much the entire kind of Latin category, which was awesome. And we were actually supposed to do our showcase earlier in the day, but
Mhm.
then they moved it to like the very last
Yeah, yeah,
dance
yeah.
before everything ended. So it was like I was kind of expecting one thing when I got in, and our instructor texted me like that morning. It was like, "Oh, we're like going to be the last dance ever," and that's literally what they had said on like the virtual stream thing. That they're like, "We have one more showcase," and
Mhm.
it was our showcase. So we literally like finished up the event, which was super cool for Saturday. Yeah, it was definitely it's interesting because it went really well, like I've told you, and a lot of
Yeah.
people. I thought it. I am very happy with how it went, and couldn't be happier with how it went. I think just because of how personal it was, you feel a lot of different emotions
Mhm.
after the fact. That's just something that I kind of expected to feel, but then afterwards you're like, man,
Yeah.
I know, especially since I knew I was going to post the full thing, and not many of my friends, I guess, knew what the showcase was about. Um, that again, you kind of are not sure how people are going to take it. You are proud of it, but again, and that's the most important thing, but you're not sure how other people are going to take
Yeah.
it. But it seems like the response I've gotten from my friends and everything since I posted it has been really great, and
Mhm.
it's been really, really awesome. And I'm appreciative, so appreciative of everybody's feedback and just support. It really means the world. Um, I'm not. Do you want me to actually get into what it was about? I didn't know we planned.
If you want to. I
Okay.
mean, I will just say, just as far as like just the commentary about dance, I
Yeah.
was saying to Matthew, because like I saw a preview of it last week when we had the spotlight party, and
Yeah.
I was just like watching the full thing. I was like, your hip hop looks great. Because like I'm so used to seeing like Latin and all over the other styles, and then I was like, I hadn't really like watched you fully do hip hop. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh wow, he looks really good. But I'm still nagging him to hopefully they're doing another local, like bigger New Jersey competition because
Uh-huh.
the mini matches like we congregate in the smaller studios and then they live stream it like to like over Zoom to the judges to see.
Mhm.
But I'm nagging Matthew. He should do it. If we have a local bigger competition, that hopefully things can work out that he can do it again. But anyway,
Yes, that is
yeah.
definitely the hope. Like I've told you, that's definitely my hope that
Mhm.
like if we have a fall or late or early winter competition, that I would love to be able to perform it again in a
Yeah.
bigger room and just with in front of more people and everything. I probably won't get into like the full, I guess, like details of everything, but just to kind of, I guess, give a basis of like a general synopsis of what the dance was about. Like I said, it was a very personal routine to me, and I had a lot of experiences where I've dealt with a lot of, I guess, hardship and not being treated well from
Mhm.
people in the past. And I definitely had struggled with kind of the back and forth of tolerating it and then not tolerating it. And I think that's something that's very relatable to a lot of people. But like I had said, with one of actually my first showcase that I did with our instructor Elena, which was in 2022, I believe,
Mhm.
that showcase was all about really making a conscious choice in my life to really improve it and really starting to recognize the worth and value that I have as a person. Because before that, it was just hard mentally to be able to kind of get past those hardships. And this was kind of just a continuation of that and experiences that I have gone through. And again, like I talked about last week, dancing those routines is very, very impactful when you're
Yeah.
dancing it. And then, like I said, afterwards too, you feel just like this rush of emotions of like being proud of how far you've come and again how people are going to receive it and everything
Mhm.
like that. So yeah, I thought it went really well, and I told our instructor Elena this, but I was just so grateful for her to just really take really good care of the choreography. We came up with some of it together, but some of it she came up with as well, and it's something that she always really does handle with care, with really personal routines. And that's something I'm just so grateful for. So yeah, it went really well. And again, I'm just very, very grateful for all the support I've gotten over it. So it's been really fun. Thank you.
And your vlog.
Yes, in my blog. So, one thing before I get to that actually is like we had talked about, because this kind of leads into that. Yeah, yes.
Yes.
So the cool thing that they did, and I actually didn't even know that this was going to happen, or this was a possibility because it was only really known that it was going to be for competitors, that
Mhm.
this was going to be a possibility. But then during my double lesson a few weeks ago, our instructor Elena came up to me and was like, "Oh, I found out from one of the top kind of people at
Oh yeah.
our studio, said that they are going to have a dinner on both nights of the competition in the city for anybody that's competed." And then Elena asked if like that could include somebody that's done a showcase,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
then he said that it would, and I would be able to participate in that, which was super fun. So I don't remember, like I don't know, it's like Savita or something like that. It's a Russian Ukrainian restaurant or like Eastern European restaurant, which was really really awesome. It's in New York City, and we had a pretty good group that went there because they had a few people from Fort Lee doing Latin as well, and I actually got to meet them for the first time. I think I might have seen them around maybe at parties or at the Fort Lee studio or stuff like that, but I had never
Mhm.
really sat down to meet them or talk to them.
Nice.
So that was super cool. So we all got to kind of know each other and talk about our experiences of how long we've been at the studio and everything like that. And the food was great, and it was just a kind of a good time to
Yeah.
really get some company and just, I guess, again, just talk and have some fun. So yeah, so
Yeah.
that
I
was,
forgot
yeah.
about the dinner. I was gonna ask you about the dinner.
Yeah. So I was like leading into that. So I know this was a lot, kind of just opening of it. Like I said, it was a very
Mhm.
long day. And one of the ideas that we had, because when we were coming back to start the podcast again, we wanted to kind of create some content ideas and figure
Mhm.
out what we might be interested in, like making content wise. And we had an idea to create day in the life kind of reels for our experiences on our performance days. And so I have a whole bunch of video clips that I'm going to turn
Mhm.
into a reel from my kind of day in the life of my experience on Saturday with performing and everything like that. So that will be coming out on our Instagram very soon. So yes,
Yes.
that'll be very exciting.
Yes. And then I'll do, I think since Dallas is multi days, I'll probably do something similar when I go to the Dallas competition. So Matthew's up first with that. So
Yes. So keep
yeah,
an eye out for that. That'll be
yeah.
really fun.
I think yeah, we have bigger dance updates today. I
Yes.
think that was it. I mean, I'm still prepping for the Dallas competition. I have a few more weeks, but we'll go through that as we keep going.
And like you had said, I was able to see some of Camille's routine at the
Oh,
spotlight last week, and
yes.
it's so great. It was so much fun. And yes, I'm so excited to see the full thing as well.
Thank
It's going
you.
to be
I know
awesome.
I gotta keep finishing some of the end of choreography.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Of
Yes.
course,
I'm
yeah.
excited.
It's gonna be
Great.
fun. All right, Bachelor in Paradise
Yeah.
time. Let's do it. We got a lot to talk about once again.
Yes.
So I guess I'll get us started. So
Mhm.
basically, kind of like last week, they recapped some of the previous episodes and basically kind of what people were talking.
Mhm.
They showcased some of the like Leia and Jonathan
Yes.
conversations, April and Jonathan, Leslie and Gary, Parisa and Brian, the Dale, Kat and Alicia kind of drama, and then Dale and Sean. But it was all kind of from the previous episode, so it was
Mhm.
very quick. And then they picked off from last week's episode where it ended with the rose ceremony,
Yes.
and it was three roses that were available and six guys. And so now they're starting to have conversations with the cocktail party or at the cocktail party for this first rose ceremony of the episode. And then Nancy is talking to Gary, but is worried about Leslie because obviously that's been more of a kind of connection that seems
Yes.
like it's been stronger than what Nancy, I guess, has had with Gary. Um, and I put this down. I know we both talked about this. Like they started out the episode with Gary. He called himself Big G,
Big
Big
G.
G. I mean, I love Gary so much.
Said pimping ain't easy.
Pivot ain't
He's
easy.
got all the women like he's like, I didn't know, I didn't plan to be such a hot
Hot commodity.
commodity.
Yep, yep. And he was like, I guess that was something he was not expecting. But you know what? Gary's an awesome guy. So I guess that's
Yes.
not surprising. And then Gary was also talking about how he is considering both women, but and thinks
Hmm.
both are amazing, but is kind of still, I guess, invested with Leslie pretty
Yeah.
much. I
Yeah.
guess it has a stronger connection. Um, and then Kim and Faith talk
Hmm.
and says that she's a hopeless romantic and that she's also open to making to anything. She's open to anything that would make her or help a relationship work and wants someone that's passionate about what they do. And Kim says that he likes Faith, but also likes Nancy. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of a
Yeah.
conundrum with the two of them. And they were kind of hinting through or with this throughout the
Hmm.
episode that Nancy kept saying in her interviews and ITMs and everything that since she's kind of one of the new Goldens on like in Paradise that for
Yeah.
the season that she feels like she's kind of behind the eight ball, I guess, in some ways where she feels like she likes some people, but maybe they already have stronger connections and
Hmm.
she's kind of, I guess, falling behind. But that's kind of, yeah,
Yeah. Dynamics, the numbers like just did not work
it did
out in
not
her
work.
favor at all.
Yeah.
But yeah. But anyway.
No, yeah, for sure. And again, she's a great person, and I think she
Hmm.
obviously like will have no problem finding like people. And again, it shouldn't be like a problem for her because she's a great person. But yeah, like you
Yeah.
said, this the numbers logistically, I just think made it hard for her.
Yeah.
Um,
Nancy and Kim, when they spoke, though, I don't know if you had it about how I know they were bonding over losing their
yes,
partners to cancer, and
yes,
that was something that I thought, I think that's at the end of the day, like, and we talked about this last time with Faith bringing Kathy on the date for the horseback riding. It's just nice to see people having conversations
yeah,
like this that I feel like there is a greater purpose sometimes to like the show.
yeah,
And like I was even thinking back to, again, we weren't covering it with the podcast, but like if you watch the Golden Bachelorette season, there
hmm
was a man Charles who lost his wife to um she had a medical emergency,
hmm
and the other contestant there was an ER doctor, and they
hmm
had like a conversation about like the symptoms she was showing because Charles like kind of in a way was like beating himself up thinking like could I have done something to save her, and
hmm
then it was Guy was his name, like talked him through this whole thing, and it's just
yeah,
like seeing the importance of like important conversations like that for the
yes.
show. Like there's a big impact of like just witnessing it, especially with the Golden Group. I think that's super
Exactly.
helpful.
Yes,
But
and I had
yeah.
that too, and I thought that the way that they were able to connect
Hmm.
it so closely, like they both got emotional, which I thought was
Yeah.
very like obviously it's hard, but I felt like that was a very sweet moment between the
Hmm.
two of them because this really wasn't about like oh being on a TV show anymore. It was like we're having these genuine conversations about special like some of the most important
Yeah.
people in our lives that we lost, and I feel like. I've seen that with other people. It might have not been like a death of a partner, but maybe other circumstances that were hard in their lives with other like shows in the franchise.
Yeah.
And that's always, I think, a really like a really cool thing to see and a very sweet thing to see with people connecting over real
Hmm.
life situations that they can connect over because I feel like it's one of those things where like they know what the other person's
Yeah.
feeling. And
Yeah.
I think that's a really sweet way for them to connect. So yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely agree about that. And then Natasha and Keith talk. They didn't really. This is kind of one of those things during the cocktail party where they didn't really show much. Like they
Yeah.
would cut back between
Yeah.
and forth between the couple. So they showed Natasha and Keith talking,
Hmm.
but it was very quick. And then here's where we get again the Kat and Dale stuff again. But again, starting out where we think it might be okay. Where Dale was saying that he feels like they're in a good place. They both feel like they're in a good place, but Dale kind of opens up to Kat, saying that she feels like he feels like she is holding back in a
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
and kind of. And then they went back and did the flashback of showing the whole "we come from different backgrounds" comment from
Yeah.
Dale, and how Kat was very triggered by that, and that was something that really bothered her. And
Yeah.
he was saying that he really wants, I guess, to have Kat open up more so he can understand her better. And he said that's really important for them if they want to move forward. So that was a very important thing that he
Yeah.
brought up
Yeah.
and says that he really knows where she's coming from with being, I guess, a little bit more reserved because he was like, I've been hurt before, I've been betrayed before in relationships, so I get being closed off and not trusting people right away.
Yeah.
But I just feel like that's something that if we want to move forward romantically, that's something I think I might need. So
Yeah.
I thought that was a really interesting thing.
I do agree. I think it's, and I don't know if it's just the editing, but it's like hard to, it's important, and I agree. But
Yeah.
I also just feel like the way they're editing it, he's like, well, Alicia, seems more interested and like more interested in opening up. And I'm like, okay, like
Yeah.
it's different personality. But
Uh-huh.
part of me is just like, just, I mean, it's like, just go figure something out to be with Alicia. But
Yes.
like, I guess it's just also the way they take the interview clips and they weave it in. Like maybe Kat and Dale are a lot stronger.
Hmm.
Clearly, they have to
They
be.
have to be,
If they're
yeah.
if they're still persisting through this, they're
Hmm.
clearly a lot stronger
Yeah.
than they're letting on with the way that they're doing the interviews about like, well, Alicia and the whole thing. And
Yeah.
it's like part of me is just like, okay, yeah, but I don't know. Part of me is just like he needs to explore something with Alicia because otherwise it's always going to be in the back of his head. But
Yes,
I don't know,
exactly.
see how things move forward. But
Yeah, for sure. And I
they
definitely
didn't
think.
commandeer the whole episode.
No, they didn't. So that helps. Maybe that means they've improved somewhat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then they showed again Alicia and Jonathan talking, and
Hmm.
she was basically talking about how kind of what she said last week, where she is interested in Sean and she thought that the date that
Yeah.
they had last week went well, but she really is still all in with Dale. And I think this is just the conundrum, like you had said, that's going to keep coming up until they like actually, I guess, explore the interest they have in each other
Next week,
next week,
yeah.
apparently. So I guess they'll get that opportunity.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing, yes. So I guess they'll get that chance to do that.
Yeah.
And so now we get to the rose ceremony, the first one of the episode. And so I love again, they kept doing the whole Big G thing for Gary.
Yeah.
They showed that again in one of the blurbs. So the breakdown or the list chronologically of who the roses went to was Brian, Parisa, again, so no surprise, Andrew, Alex. And I thought this was so funny because then Andrew was trying to speak French to Alex. And I don't think it went well because, again, Alex was like, what were you trying to say? And it just.
I don't know. My mom started talking to me when that part was on, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't hear it," but it didn't. It didn't go over
It
well.
didn't go over well because she was just like, okay, yeah, sure. And then Jesse was like, what language was that? And he was like, yeah, I failed so miserably. But it was cute that he tried to at least do
Yeah.
that. And then Bailey, Jonathan, no surprise. Spencer, Jess, no surprise. Dale with Kat, which again, no surprise, but he did say that he was conflicted. Again, like you had said, they're really trying to play up these things. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of, again, a kind of producer
Mhm.
thing with the ITMs where maybe they kind of like ask him about Alicia, and it was like, oh hey, like if you were to get the opportunity, why would you think you'd be interested in her?
Yeah.
And then that's what they'll
Yeah.
show is like,
Yeah.
okay, he seems like he's still into Alicia even with Kat. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those scenarios. And then Sean with Alicia.
Hmm.
And then in Alicia's ITM, it was so funny how she was just like, well, yeah, I if Dale gave me the rose, I would have absolutely had no hesitation to say yes. But Sean is cool too. And then the little blurb was like, Plan B it is.
It is,
And
yeah.
so that was really funny. And then Jonathan Leah, no surprise. Keith, Kathy, no surprise. Kim, Faith, no surprise. And then Gary, Leslie, no surprise.
Yeah.
And so going home was sadly Natasha, Nancy, and April. And again, I loved all three of these ladies on the
Yeah.
show. They're really,
Yeah.
really awesome. And I love how Natasha, like, she was really kind of standing up for herself in a way. It was like, I don't feel like, I guess in a way I could see how Gary might have led her on, but not intentionally.
Yeah.
Because I think he did make it known that he was really invested with Leslie. But I just love how Natasha was like, I'm gonna find my person. I have no problem. And I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought it was so sweet with April how like everybody went to go hug her. Because I think obviously like they I guess all love April, which is
Yeah.
really great, and she's
Yeah.
awesome. So that's how the rose ceremony ended. And now we have the big changes that they've been hinting at, that Jesse has been hinting at. So the rose ceremony ends, and
Hmm.
he basically says that there's going to be no more new arrivals in Paradise for the rest of the season. So this is the group that they're going to have
Yeah.
now. And basically going forward, like last week, they had the Birds of Paradise test, but now things are going to get a little more serious with actually, I guess, figuring out if you're compatible with your partner, and maybe even with not with your partner, with other people that you might have
Hmm.
have interest in as well.
Yeah.
And so basically every week is going to consist of relationship tests to just see again compatibility, everything like that. And basically that the strongest and most deserving couples have a chance to win $500,000, which is crazy.
Yeah. Everybody's
And
reactions
yeah,
are like,
everybody's reaction is just like, what? Like they probably had like no idea. So that
yeah.
is going to be very, very interesting. And as we see in the throughout the episode, the stakes obviously are a lot higher now. I think people have much more of like a strategic, I guess, vision of how they want to go about their paradise
Yeah.
experience rather than like, oh, I'm just here to meet somebody, which still might be, it seems like still
Yeah.
is like the top priority of people. But again, they're like, yeah, I want that money too. So it seems like that's kind of what again, that's what
Yeah.
they've been trying to do. And then I said in my notes that I feel like it's going to be really interesting to see how the money component changes the dynamic with the couples.
Yeah.
Because, like I had said, I
Right.
feel
Yeah.
like
Let's see it.
we've already seen that. So
Yeah.
it is definitely interesting. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I think, that was more just like recapping what they, what Jesse's big announcement was. And I think it does shift it more to like the Bachelor pad. And I always forget the rules of Bachelor pad, but I think they kind of came in at the beginning knowing that
Yeah,
there was money
there
on
was
one
money.
end,
Yeah.
but like you kind of have to like couple up and the whole thing.
Mhm.
I mean, this is like they're going in thinking it's just straight up paradise. And then I'm thinking like even if they do this model again, like next year, people are gonna go knowing that this is a possibility of
Yes.
money. So you don't know, like, I mean, I still think there's a point of like, yeah, explore your connection so you get the best possible partner
Hmm.
in that window of time.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, like, they kind of were like coasting because they were waiting for the next best option. And now some of them might be coasting because they're just like, or not coasting anymore. Now they're like, okay, but now we've got to win.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's definitely changing things, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
For sure, for sure. So it was definitely a huge dynamic
Yeah,
shift, I guess.
huge.
Huge dynamic shift where it's like, okay, we're actually like there's a like another purpose for this
Yeah.
season, I guess, along with the relationship.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
So the next thing is then that so Jesse tells him to get some sleep.
Yes.
And I didn't go like by every single like I didn't take notes on every single conversation, but like I know the next morning they're like waiting to find out what the first challenge is.
Yeah.
And they go through, they're all start like talking and asking each other questions and like, what's your favorite color?
Mm.
Which people didn't freak out the way Brian did.
Oh, I know.
But like they started doing that, and then at that point you're kind of able to see a little bit more of the connection between Kim and Faith starts
Yes.
to develop. Brian and Parisa had a rough conversation
Mhm.
again. Just like they're just having trouble communicating. I'm
Yeah.
if that was there were like multiple conversations. I think this was just like
Yeah. It was it was the one where they showed they were still on camera, but it wasn't like it was when they I think she was talking to him when they were asleep, where they were like in their room.
that's right.
And that's when she was like, "Oh, well, I feel like you're not really noticing me and all that kind of stuff." I feel like it was that conversation.
Yeah, yes, that was it. They just did the quick thing with they were
Yeah.
apart. And then So yeah, so did you have any other conversations that happened before the challenge or any things you?
They were just with the couples that are already together
Yeah,
anyway. Like I had Alex, Andrew, Leslie, Gary, Leah,
yeah,
Jonathan, Sean, and Alicia, and Spencer and Jess. It was kind of like the same thing with the cocktail party where they like cut
yeah.
between the conversations very, very rapidly. So you didn't get like a full, I guess, kind
No.
of idea of what they were talking about until they went to the next person. So, but that
Yeah.
was pretty much it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just like it's like okay, we got to do like crash course study, make sure we're good before that.
Yes, yes.
So the first challenge was called High Low, What Do You Know? Um
Very, very cool name, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it
It's
was
just they got
funny.
to play on words. Yeah.
But I think like so the rules essentially just double check me because I actually didn't put in the notes. I'm gonna double check.
I have it in my notes. So if you need a refresher, I can tell you.
They asked all of them questions that could be answered with a number
Yeah.
at some point in time, and then they basically had like a high and low, and they had a certain number of chips or whatever, and so the one partner would have to go and answer about the other partner,
Hmm.
and they would say was it higher or lower than this number, and then you could put as many chips as you want on the high or the low, and then you either add or subtract to how many chips you have.
Hmm.
So they'll go through multiple rounds of this game.
Hmm.
And then so I think the main thing is that
The losing
yeah,
three couples would not get roses at the next rose ceremony,
yes.
and that the winning couple would get a special one-on-one date. Those are the
Yes.
two kind of caveats to the whole game.
And since the girls had the roses,
Yes,
the girl from the winning couple would be able to pick
the last two.
two women that would get the rose and like essentially their partner that they would
Yes,
get.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. Sorry, I totally forgot the prizes.
Yes.
I just got the rules of the game.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so I was like, some of the just like the first rounds, they showed some clips in the first
Again, it was
rounds.
very quick. They didn't like
Yeah,
even show everybody.
but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, some of the ones like the main takeaways I had from some of the in the initial rounds was like they asked, I think it was like, how much would Parisa be willing to spend on a wedding? Was it higher or lower than $56,000?
Yeah.
And Brian said lower,
I
and I'm
know.
like, this man does not know how much a
He
wedding
does not
costs.
know
And
exactly.
is he not from Jersey?
I was about to say,
Like,
it's like Italian weddings are big. It's just like you gotta know that. I
what's an
know.
Italian wedding?
Yep.
I'm not 100% sure he's from Jersey. I should double check that.
Yeah.
But still, like you're Italian. You should anyway.
Yeah.
That was that one. That was the only main one from like the initial round. So
only main one I had from the initial rounds was Jeremy and Bailey, and they asked if Jeremy thought that Bailey had more than 850 unread text messages, and I don't know how much he wagered, but he said no. And her answer was yes. That was which is crazy to me how that can even be true. But like, okay,
the
I see it.
anxiety I would get.
Oh, me too.
I'm just like, is that like on a normal like rolling basis, or is this like, did they check her phone to see how many texts that she's gotten since
Uh-huh.
she's been at the show? She must be in some group chats.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
that's what I
saying.
say. Yeah,
This is
yeah.
how our group chat is.
Uh-huh.
Um,
And that was pretty much all I had for the initial rounds. Again,
yeah,
like I said, all the couples that are together, they did that. But then one of the things they were kind of showing, kind of alluding to Brian Parisa's, I
yeah,
guess, troubles is that they were showing that they got a lot of the things wrong. So by the end of the initial round, they
yeah.
were at the bottom of the point system.
Mhm.
So it was definitely something that was just kind of a storyline that they were really continuing for sure.
Then if you want to get into the last
Yes,
round,
which was crazy.
chaos.
Very
Yeah.
much chaos. So basically, so like I talked about, they had the whole point system.
Hmm.
And so at the top were Dale and Kat, Jeremy, Bailey, and Gary and Leslie, and they all had the lead and were tied with 18 points.
Yeah.
And Parisa and Brian were on the bottom with a measly two. So, and then Kim and Faith dropped to 2 points because of their question, and then Brian and Parisa moved up to four. So I guess they improved a little bit. And then
Oh yeah, the question about
the
the 20 less than $25 a
yeah, so
month,
for $25 a month.
like her like beauty care or something. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what the
Which is,
$20,
I know. How is
lady?
that possible? I
Yeah, I
know.
mean, okay. Anyway,
So I didn't write down the questions for these, but I wrote down the kind of how things went transpired. So Bailey and Jeremy, um, he bet all his chips and got the question right, which was I thought was going to be a really, really dumb move, but it ended up working out in his favor. So Bailey and Jeremy ended with 36 points.
yeah.
And then Dale and Kat bet one chip on their question, got it right, and had 19
Hmm.
points. And here is where the chaos ensued. So Gary, I guess, had this smart decision. I don't know if he was influenced by Jeremy in any way, but I forgot again what the question was. I didn't write it down, but he bet half of his.
Oh,
Do you know the question?
yeah.
Or can you say it?
It was what so for Gary it was it's inappropriate.
Oh yes, I remember it. Yes.
Times a week do you think Leslie thinks that the
Yeah.
couple should be
The
intimate?
intimate. Yep.
And it greater or like higher or lower than 5?
5. Yes.
And Gary was adamant that it should be higher.
Higher.
That he
Yes.
thought higher and not lower. And I'm just sitting there like, there are 7 days in a week.
So I'm like, that would be a lot of
If
intimacy if
they,
I would.
they said, but I'm just like, if they said 4, I'd be more conflicted. But they said 5, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's
Gary, just come on. Like, but it was more of the fact that he like doubled
yeah, he
down
doubled down
and
and bet half of his chips and then got it wrong. So they had 18 and then they dropped down to 9. So it was just like Jeremy or one of them said, like he probably wasn't good. They weren't probably gonna win this challenge, but like I think he set them up to probably not do as well on this challenge,
no,
unfortunately. And I think he meant well, but again, it's
yeah,
yeah, he didn't like again, he just was trying what happens, but like
Jeremy and Bailey's question was, would she spend what was the most that she either had spent
I got a gift.
on a gift for a
Gift.
significant other, and it was
Yeah.
like higher or lower than 350. And I'm like, okay, him saying higher, I'm like
That could make sense.
that's a little bit more of like a thing, but there's 7 days in a week.
Yeah, I was
That's all
about to say
I'm
it's
gonna
like
say.
even just logistically, and that might not make as much sense. It's just like so yeah. And I felt so bad because again, all of them were like judging his decision, like Gary, how could you?
Oh
And
yeah,
then they changed the big G to big L.
big
So big L. So they had to like go with that. So like we said, since Jeremy bet all the chips and his like
yeah,
going all like double or nothing was successful, they win the first challenge with 36 points. Spencer and Jess were second with 22, and Kim and Faith were the last with 4. And so Jeremy and Bailey, like Jesse had said, they got the one-on-one day, and
yeah.
it was for them to go see a fireworks show on the beach. So
Mhm.
that was very cool. And then, like we had said, since the whole kind of thing of this game was since Bailey was the winning woman from like in the winning couple, Bailey gets to choose who will get the last 2 roses from for the women at this next rose ceremony.
Yeah,
And so yeah, so that was it for pretty much for that day. I don't know.
yeah.
Do you have anything else?
I think it was just like it was. There's been like Jeremy and Bailey have been like up and down with the whole Susie thing, and the promos are definitely showing that that's gonna
Yeah.
go up next week. But I mean, it was like they did go on the date, and it was nice. It's just
Yeah.
like at this point, it's just like very hard for me to take Jeremy seriously because I feel like it's like he is going for the money now.
Yeah, I was about to
He
say.
doesn't want to take. I mean, obviously everybody's going to try to go for the money, but part of
Yes.
me's like, I can't trust his actions at the current moment.
No, totally. And that's what I had said is that all the couples are like really feeling, I think, a lot of pressure now. And like I had said, I think a lot more of them are really going into this experience, like going forward with a lot
Yeah.
more of a strategy for
Yeah.
the money, not just the relationship. So I think
Yeah.
it will definitely change the dynamic. And like you said, Bailey and Jeremy went on their date. And basically, so like I said, it was a very short date as for again so much more happened in the episode, but they were both like complimenting each other of how proud they were of each other on the date, and Bailey was like, I'm so happy that it ended up working out, that you like doubled down and it worked. And they said that they really enjoyed asking each other questions,
Yeah.
and just based on their conversation in that moment, even though it was short, it seems like again, even with the previews and everything, it seems
Yeah.
like in that moment it's a good connection, and they both said that they like each other, and that that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
And was that pretty much all you had to?
No, I think that was really it.
Yeah.
I think then yeah, so it's like they go on the date, then they have the other couples are like going through conversations. So I'm losing track of like what time of the day all of these
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Either way, the notable conversation that I had, so Brian and Parisa have a very
Heated conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like see we're on the same way.
Yep.
Like, and he just tells her, and it was funny because they actually posted a reel of this, like Bachelor in Paradise Instagram page posted the reel of this today, so I like got to rewatch it
yes,
again
yeah.
and listen again. And basically, he tells Parisa to stop overdoing it with the compliments.
Yes.
Because he feels smothered.
Yeah.
And like they show clips of her like giving her all these nice compliments.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I like the caption on the reel was like, oh, words of affirmation isn't everybody's love language.
Uh-huh.
And I'm reading the comments and everybody's like, red flag.
Yeah.
That's every comment.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes, because
like I get it, but also like I don't know who would also complain about being complimented from your significant other either. So like if you want to bring up that like concern, I get it, but also like again, at least personally me and I guess a lot of other people watching
Yeah.
this, I don't know why you would be bothered by
The
compliments.
only thing that if I'm just really trying to play devil's advocate, but
Yeah.
in this particular situation, I do not agree. Like
Yeah, me neither.
she's making observations about him, like the one that you're like, oh, you tan really nicely, or you whatever. She's like making compliments about like his physical appearance or this or that or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah.
A moment when it's a time that's observing. I can understand if there's like a love bomby energy of like the compliments being like too much or seeming
Yeah.
insincere, but I do not feel that Parisa is doing
No,
that at
not
all.
not at
So
all.
like
Yeah.
this is just listen, this is just a sign, in my opinion, that Brian has some work to do
Yes, very
in
much so.
loving himself because
Yes.
he can't accept the compliments.
Yes.
And I'm trying to say this in a very nice way.
No, I totally
I think
agree.
he's just projecting his issues
Yes.
onto her. But
Yes.
it's very unfortunate because, and this will come back again.
Yes.
Parisa is doing the thing that we all need to stop doing
Hmm.
and thinking she's doing something
Wrong. Yes.
You are not doing something wrong.
And that's unfortunately usually what ends up happening with people that are in her situation, where
Yes.
they end up feeling like then they're like punishing themselves, and they're just like, oh, well, I'm so sorry, like whatever. But like, she's just trying to be nice to you, like I don't know. So it's just like, yeah, like she didn't do anything wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's just getting like, he's like, I gotta be brutally honest with you, and like da 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 da. And I'm like, okay, but like even just like watching the way his mannerisms and having this conversation, I'm just
Hmm.
like not loving it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Me neither.
So I could keep going.
No, me too. This could be a long rant. Yes, we will.
And then the other thing, so Faith and Kim were at the bar, and then they were, I don't know,
Like eating ice cream, like feeding
something.
each other and kissing and stuff. So it was cute.
It was cute. I'm happy they're connecting after the stuff with Kim earlier on in the few episodes. You were like, I don't know about this guy. He's
Yes.
gonna connect.
It's really like turned around, I guess.
Faith and him start making out, and they zoom to Kathy's face, and she rolls. No,
Yes.
no, wait, no, that wasn't it. That wasn't the time. Seth, she didn't roll her eyes there. She's talking to Keith,
Yes,
and making
right.
the
Yes.
comments of like they're making out over there, like
Uh-huh.
watching. So her and Keith are watching.
I love Kathy. But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to be revisited because this is a theme with Kathy. Like,
Uh-huh.
because she had said like she didn't see Faith and Kim together because like he's very structured
Mhm.
and she's like more free. But I'm like, well, they actually live in the same state. They both
Yeah,
live in
in Washington State.
So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this kind of makes sense. It's from Seattle.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
anyway, I just lost my track of where I was. Anyway, so yeah, that's
That was pretty much it, I think, because they went back to the Bailey and Jonathan date, but again, they was just showing them kissing, watching the fireworks.
yeah.
That was pretty much it. And then they go on to, I guess, the other conversations during that day.
Mhm.
Kim and Faith were talking, and he was talking about, like we were showing with the ice cream stuff, that he is getting more interested in her, and they both enjoy each other's company. But he was saying that he's not sure if they could really be a couple outside of paradise, which I thought was interesting because they seem to be really close in the moments that they're showing.
Yeah.
I guess just obviously this environment, any Bachelor show, it's very hard to really be like how like it's really hard to gauge, I guess, as a person, like how successful could this be because this is a TV show, all that
Yeah.
stuff. So I get it, but and then Bailey talks with Kathy about her date, and then Gary and Leslie talk and they walk on the beach, and he really tries to reassure Leslie because I feel like she was trying to be like, oh, I really hope everything works out, but I think Leslie is still kind of in her head that maybe there's still a chance with Gary and Nancy.
Yeah.
And so he really tries to reassure her, and he like drew this like really cute like kind of picture in the sand.
Yeah.
And so that was very sweet. So that kind of told me that there was really nothing for Leslie to be worried about for this situation. And this is kind of going back to what we were talking about with really the people seeming like they're really going to start strategizing this whole experience now, because they showed a pretty quick conversation about the guys talking about how they're going to go forward with the money and talking about how is this going to change the dynamics and everything like that. So
Yeah.
again, I thought that was again interesting.
Jeremy and Brian are butting heads.
Yeah,
They
but
have this beef from Jen's season.
with the whole car
situation.
situation, yeah,
So that they're still like,
they threw back to that, and then
yeah.
basically Brian, I think Brian is bothered because everybody is really, I guess, kind of pointing the blame at him for some of the Parisa stuff now. He is now kind of countering that with, oh, well, Jeremy has all this whole thing with, oh, well, yeah, well,
Yeah.
the whole Susie thing saying that,
Yeah.
oh, she came back like the second that he would completely ditch Bailey
Yeah.
and give Susie the rose and completely like not do that connection anymore. And so they're kind of going back and forth with that.
Yeah.
And So I just thought that was really interesting. That's I think that's a common theme in the
Yeah,
episode that
we'll get
we
back to
got back to
that.
that. And then Brian is oh, and then Bailey, since we talked about that she now has kind of the power to give two women the roses, the final two roses, they're starting to show her thinking about who she's going to give the roses to, and she starts talking with Wells about kind of how that might work. Again, it was very quick. And then now we get where Jesse arrives and the second rose ceremony of the episode and cocktail party is about to take place. So yeah, that was pretty
Yeah,
much
there
it.
were some notable conversations that happened that we
Yeah.
wanted to make sure we brought up. So
Yes.
I don't know if I put them sequentially in our notes, but I guess Jonathan started talking to Kat and them and was like, "Yeah, Leia and I are just friends. Like it's totally cool. Like we're fine." And
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. And then I think Kat goes over and she's like, "Yeah, he's coming around saying you guys are just friends."
Yeah.
Leia got really irritated,
Yeah.
as she should,
I
because
mean, the servers, I mean, rightly so. Exactly.
they and like I think I still didn't dissect their whole conversation.
And I don't know if you saw what Jonathan posted today.
Oh no.
I just saw like 20 minutes before we started recording. So,
Please.
I guess we could throw this in as a little
Yeah.
caveat, but he was basically saying how I guess today is his birthday. So happy birthday, Jonathan, if you're watching this.
Happy birthday,
But
Jonathan.
he was basically it was kind of these chronological, I guess, pictures of him growing up, and he was like, I know there's a lot of kind of, I guess, division with between Bachelor Nation about liking me and not liking me and the decisions I made. And like to be honest with you or with everybody, I just want to be upfront. I was not in the best place mentally, and I should not have gone on the show. And any
Yeah.
hate that or like I guess negative feelings towards me is totally fair, but I just wanted to be upfront. So I guess like it gave me a little bit more clarity. But I just saw that like
Yeah.
30 minutes ago. But
Yeah. I don't think he's a bad guy.
no,
And
no,
I
totally
think,
not.
he said what he said with her in certain circumstances. I think that he kind of was like, I see us as friends now, and then there's potential, but like he wasn't
Yeah.
giving her a clear answer, and she got irritated and she stormed off.
Which again, rightly so. It's in that
Yeah,
situation. Yeah.
because it's like this is what he's been, and that's the thing. Like, I guess now he's like he's had the
It makes
insight
sense.
and thinking
Yeah.
through, and like maybe he wasn't in the best place. Plus, not for nothing, you could have the full intention of finding someone if you're there, but you really don't feel the spark with any of these people on
I mean,
Paradise.
that's not wrong. I mean, it's not a
No,
bad thing. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the point. Like he hasn't. I've criticized his passivity, but like also I feel like if it was the right person, he would not be passive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think the point is that like he was like kind of too much like in this in between with everybody, and that's where like in Leia's situation, they had also been friends.
Hmm.
So like she's here, they're in paradise, they're in a different environment. Maybe they can try to explore
Yeah.
the romantic side. They did a little bit, and then it's like still, so anyway, I'll have to go look at that.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. I
like,
literally just saw it, like I said, right before we started
yeah,
recording. So I was like, okay, now that gives a little more
yeah,
clarity to this whole situation. But yeah, it
yeah.
was very, very interesting for sure.
And then the next thing that Brian and Parisa
Brian Priest
again,
again
he's just like avoiding her
avoiding her. Yeah.
during the cocktail hour, and it's kind of just like nuts. I mean, literally, like, I see it. It's so obvious.
It's so obvious.
He's
Yeah.
like talking to everyone but her because, and his whole stance that I forgot if he said it to her or he just said it and then to he's like, this isn't here to try to get the rose from the woman.
Mhm.
I'm here now to try to convince them to keep us.
Yes.
Which I'm like, okay, yes,
Hmm.
but like you only have so much control over that.
Hmm.
And I mean, spoiler alert, it worked out for him in the end,
It
whatever
did.
they did, but
It did,
I
yeah.
don't think it had anything to do with like how they were acting in the rose
Oh
ceremony.
no,
So
definitely
it's
not.
like, honestly, if I were in Bailey's shoes, and I mean, granted, they're like closer and whatever,
Mhm,
like
mhm.
I would be criticizing, like, well, why is he acting like that with Parisa? Like,
Mhm.
why am I going to keep them around if they're not, they're going to be acting like this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I mean, it was literally like he's going to talk to Kat about Botox
I know.
injections.
So it's
I'm
like
like, are you for real? Like,
it's like wouldn't you want to spend the time with the girl that you're like having a connection with and say you like so yeah, it didn't make any sense. But yeah, it was crazy.
completely ignoring her. So I was
Yes.
getting really irritated with
Me
that.
too.
And
Yeah.
then I was gonna then the next thing that was the big thing that Matthew's been alluding to is so Bailey really has to sit down and decide who she's going to give the last two roses to so they can pick.
Mhm.
So they kind of have some like sit down conversations.
With like the people that could have that
Yeah,
like,
it's Leslie, Faith,
faith,
and Parisa.
Teresa, yeah.
And Bailey's definitely very torn. Like she feels
Yeah.
bad that she's in this position. She's like, I just want to really think this through and the whole thing. And then they cut to Jeremy's like, I don't care who comes and goes. Like
Mhm.
he's like, whatever, I'm done.
Yeah.
He's just basically like, I just want to win the money. He's like flat out saying it. And I know there's a certain level of like you have to detach, you're put in this position, but like I think Bailey obviously like cares about these people,
Hmm.
these women especially. And
And it was again where they showed kind of the whole Brian and Jeremy, I guess, beef, where right before they had the rose
yeah.
ceremony, he was like, "Oh, I could send you right home, or send you home right now, and everything like that." And he was like, "Oh, I would be like deservedly so, and everything like that." So they still have that beef with each other,
Yeah.
where like
Yeah.
I guess each other, or where they both know like, "Oh, you did this, and you did this," and then where Brian was talking about oh, I feel like Bailey should know the whole thing with Jeremy about what he said with what he said with Susie. And so
Yeah.
that's a whole thing that they keep playing up is that like again, and I think that will get kind of cleared up eventually, but it's just
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
No, so I mean, I think that's well, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was
One's
pretty
the
much
thing
it.
because I didn't have too many notes about Bailey's actual conversations. I can remark like or comment more on it after like she makes her decision, her
Yes,
wife made her decision.
me too.
That they had the whole skit with the Don
Don
Jeremy,
Jeremy.
the Italian music playing in the
Yeah, that
background,
was
like
really
him and
funny.
Brian were like, I don't
Uh-huh.
know because you were just mostly talking about that part, but I think that was just the whole thing. But like Brian's like hyping up like Bailey's great, like you, I don't care about you.
Yeah, I don't care about you. So it seems kind of like serious, but then also not like, but it seems like they do have some kind of beef with each other,
Well, but
which
Brian's, of course, he's not going to open his mouth because he's not definitely sure that he's staying. So
he's
he's
still
not going to say it now because in the case that Jeremy flips Bailey's mind, then she's going to send Brian home. So like,
exactly.
I'm sorry. Like, I think Brian does care about Bailey in
Hmm.
this situation, and it was shown when he found out like I've got to tell Bailey, but
Hmm.
like he kept it in his back pocket, and it's like, well, now that he's got to work the angle to get the money, he's
Uh,
doing it in that way. So I don't think his intentions of it are purely to just like get the money and just all
no,
that thing. I
yeah,
think he does. I do think Brian does care about Bailey in
he
this
does. I think
situation.
so too.
It's just, I mean, that's just the way he comes off a
Right,
little
right,
bit, but like
right.
I do think he does care, but it's just like, oh, good, now you're gonna like use this to your advantage.
Exactly, for
So
sure. So there's just a
yeah.
lot of stuff going on
Anyway.
with Brian. So now we get to the second rose ceremony of the episode where some crazy things happen. And so again, there's also some kind of self-explanatory stuff. So like we said, the girls are handing out the roses for this rose ceremony. So in the order that they went was Bailey gave her rose to Jeremy, no surprise. Alex gave her rose to Andrew, no surprise.
The
Kathy,
French was
the
better.
French was better this
Okay.
time. He was like, I'm not
Yeah.
going to do that. Kathy gave her rose to Keith. Alicia gave her rose to Sean, and I think they showed something where she's like, I'm really kind of starting to get closer to Sean now. So I think maybe, even though I think
Right.
they're still kind of hinting at stuff with Dale, I think the connection with her and Sean is going. I think it's going well. Kat and Dale, Jess and Spencer, and this Leia and Jonathan one was really funny, where she just like didn't even say what he said. She's just like, "You're welcome," and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I guess that's all she had to say. It's just like mic drop.
I
Um,
mean, yeah.
so I was like, good for Leia. That was cool. And then now we get down to Bailey's final two roses, and these are decisions that she has to make. So I guess you could take it away.
Yeah. So basically she and they have to do the dramatic thing. They
Hmm.
pull them up one by one. So she first brings up Faith and Faith ultimately gives it to Kim, but Bailey's whole point was she's like, I really want to see their love story
Yeah,
continue. And which I think was fair because like Kim and Faith really were
you could tell it was going somewhere. It
yeah.
has been going
Yes.
somewhere. Yeah.
And Faith was a late arrival and Kim was out in the medical facility when she had the
Mhm.
date. So like they really didn't have that much time together and I think Bailey just kind of was like,
Yeah.
"Look, I want to give them more time. I would feel bad if they went home at this point in time."
Mhm.
And I think so they start kissing after
Oh, I know that
Faith
was
gives
great.
that's when Kathy made the face like,
Yes.
"Oh."
Oh my gosh, here we go again. I know. I love Kathy.
Then she brings up Leslie and it's like,
Of course,
"Okay,
the dramatic thing because they're gonna make you think, oh, Leslie and
Leslie's
Gary,
next."
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But she doesn't give her the rose, but Bailey gets so emotional
Yeah.
and she just says like I wish you the best. I hope you guys can find each other outside of this. And then so then they take their exit and then Gary's just like all of the guys said they wouldn't want to go to Vegas with me because of the decision I made and I'm just like
Hmm.
I am not a gambler and I also even if I went with him to Vegas, I wouldn't I would
Yeah, you would not
trust him with any
would
of these
trust him with
things.
that. No,
So,
exactly. But it's sad. I'm sad that Leslie and Gary are going home. But like I had said, or I definitely think that they could definitely work outside of Paradise together for
yeah.
sure. I don't know if if again, we probably won't know any of the relationship statuses until after the show is done.
Yeah.
But I would love to see them continue their relationship because
Yeah.
I think again, like we saw on the salsa date a few weeks ago, I they I feel like their connection is very strong. So I
Yeah,
wish them the
yeah,
best for sure.
yeah. And then Parisa gets the last rose. Bailey gives Parisa the last rose, and then she
Yeah.
picks Brian, and
Yeah.
that's kind
So
of
no
that's the
surprise.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we had two rose ceremonies this episode.
Yeah. So that was a lot.
Take it away with the promos.
Yeah, so it's definitely a crazy promo. So now they show the next challenge in the
Yes.
promo. So it seems like these challenges are just gonna keep up in the ante, I guess. And then they basically were just saying how, like we talked about earlier in this episode, that Jesse was talking about how they're now gonna actually be able to explore connections outside of their actual, like with the connections that they have with their actual partners now, which I think is gonna be really interesting. It seems like in the promo that they're gonna do this game where they have to guess stuff, I guess, based on I don't even know. They're like wearing headphones and I
Yeah.
guess like figuring out what somebody said about
Yeah.
something. Like again, I really don't know again how that's gonna work, but they were really hyping up
Yeah.
how they're gonna like see, and so maybe Alicia will now get her chance with Day. We'll see how that happens,
see what
and I'm probably gonna create some drama with Kat again. That seems like that's a never-ending cycle with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like that these challenges are going to continue to get crazy. And like
Yeah.
we talked about, there's more as a strategic, I guess, vision with everybody now in terms of the money. So it's definitely going to be, I think, a crazy kind of rest of the season for sure.
Yeah. Brian's definitely going to tell Bailey that
Yes, because that was the
with.
thing. Yeah, because yeah, they definitely he's gonna tell Bailey everything because that's
Yeah.
what they showed with being like, oh, how could he do this to me and everything like that. So we don't know how that's gonna go, but it really seems like that's what's gonna happen. So
I mean, the only thing, I mean, I like the high-low game. I thought
that was fun.
like, I do like the inclusion of the games and the, like, getting to know the partner and the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, even you're at the point of, like, yeah, you got to pick, like, to cut down on the roses.
Yeah.
I think that helps. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No.
Like, because they could have still done this without the money thing. I don't know. Overall, I don't dislike the format of the games.
No, me neither. I think it's fun.
Yeah, I think it gives them something else to do.
No,
so
totally.
I'm not opposed to that. So
No.
we'll keep giving our thoughts.
No, exactly. And I wouldn't be surprised, and I was thinking about this while we were watching it, that this is probably something that they were thinking of for a while with, like, obviously with their summer off last year. Like, how can we kind of reinvent the show, but not veer so far off that it's not recognizable anymore?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not bothered by the games. I hope it doesn't steer too far away from the format, but I think it's fun that they have something new to do for sure. So it's a lot. So, but yeah, so we'll wrap it up. So thank you guys so much again for watching this episode. Consider subscribing and also following us on Instagram at Ballrooms and Bachelors, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.